Hi everybody, welcome to yet another video. So today we're having a look and a little play with the Avalon 1.4 WLS400. So this is a 4 split tip gun. It's basically, I think it's basically Avalon's try of competing with the NSI Water LPH 400, because they do a similar range of caps. Now, I've only got the one cap, which is a purple cap, which I haven't actually got for the LPH 400, but they do a green cap as well, and they do a sort of like an orangey colour cap as well. Now, when you look at the photos of the orange cap and the green cap, none of them look very different. When you look at the LPH 400 caps, they are quite different, but these don't look particularly different. But I'm told by a few people that have got these with different caps that they do actually act differently. So what I'm saying here today can only be taken for the purple cap, which is the one that's on this. So I paid for this, I paid about 142 US dollars. You can pay more. I'm not sure whether you can actually pay much less, but around about 150 US dollars for one of these. If you're in the UK, you're probably going to have to pay a bit of tax on top. It depends how much you order really, but yeah, you're probably going to have to pay a little bit of tax on top. So they're not a cheap gun, although for a split tip gun they're actually not, you know, particularly expensive. So obviously by doing this video, in my mind I'm now thinking I've got the LPH 400, I've got a wider 4L, which is a 4 split tip gun. I've obviously got the LS and the WS iWater guns, but I'm thinking to myself, because this isn't overly expensive, but it's not cheap, I'm comparing this in my head to the Porpish guns, which are more expensive than this. But I have to say that if I was to pick a winner, the Porpish guns are head and shoulders above this thing. I'm not saying it's a bad gun, because it's not a bad gun, and you can see at the end of it you get quite a reasonable finish with it. Well, I think what really made my mind up was, at the same time as this, and I'll put a link in the description, I got a gun called a Dram, which is a free split tip. So it's trying to mimic the Kiwami 4WBX or the W400 WBX type gun, and I think that's a really good gun. I'll put a link in the description to my video of it. So in my head I'm thinking, because I got these at the same time, I'm thinking this, in theory, because it costs more money, it's got a 4 split tip instead of a 3 split, which isn't much of a difference. The main difference is that the 3 split will normally be a bit quicker, because there's no doubt that the more splits you have, the more it slows the gun down. So I'm thinking to myself that this should be better, right? You pay more money for something, you think the gun should be better. And personally, if I was to pick between the two of these, I would pick the Dram. I like it because it's a bit faster than this Avalon. I also like it because I think it's better made. It just seems better made. Both of these, this gun and the Dram that I'm talking about, are actually made in Taiwan. I'm not sure who makes the Dram, but I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out the same factory. But the Dram is literally, what, about 35–40% cheaper than this gun. So you can see why I'm a little bit apprehensive about recommending this gun to people. I've seen people get really good finishes with this gun, and I have no doubt that it can produce good finishes. It's just that I was expecting a little more, really. Because when you're buying let's say Far Eastern guns, when you pay the money, you're expecting, once you start to pay a reasonable amount of money, you expect quite a lot, if that makes sense. I guess if this was an iWater gun at this sort of price, I would say it was really good value for money. So maybe that's part of the thing that's affecting the way I feel. But I think what really is affecting the way I feel is the fact that I know there are better guns out there for in this case actually less money. But looking at this gun on its own, the build quality is okay. I wouldn't say it's anything special at all. It's just okay. If you look in the unboxing video, there's a few really rough parts of the casting where it's literally been chromed over, and normally you would expect things like that to be just taken off, those rough edges just taken off before you chrome it. So it just has a little bit of you know, take it out the mold, wipe it over and chrome it type feel to it, or look to it rather than feel to it. So that again was a little bit disappointing, and bear in mind that you can pay normally $180 US. Just depends whether there's an offer on or not. So using the gun, I'm using in this video, I'm using a Kapci 60, I've got 608 written down here, it's not, it's 6030, which is their high solids clear coat. It's a good value clear coat, it's relatively cheap, flows out quite well, and it actually keeps its gloss level really well. But I think that's down to the hardener. It's a fast hardener, but in reality it's actually a normal hardener. And with most clear coats you'll find that the less speed you have in the hardener, the better the gloss retention is on the clear coat. Certainly within a few days, but you know, 2 months, 3 months down the line, you tend to find that. So if you can get away with a standard hardener, then it's a good thing to do. You'll see me heating up the clear coat using a microwave. I keep repeating it, but I will say it again. I do apologise for the people who watch the video regularly because they don't want to hear it over and over again, but it's not something you should do. So I'm not recommending it for 1 minute, but it is something I do, about 10 seconds per 100 millilitres depending on ambient temperature, and it just warms that clear coat up. And there's no clear coat I can think of that doesn't flow out better when it's warmer. Obviously if you're working in 25-30 degree temperatures anyway, you probably wouldn't need to do it, but on a day like today it was 16 degrees Celsius, so it is something I like to do. And I warm the clear up to about 34 degrees Celsius, which is about what, 92, 93 Fahrenheit, something like that. And it does really help it flow out. So the atomization of this gun is actually quite good. I mean, I don't want to put people off the gun. It's just that if I hadn't got the Dram and I hadn't got the Porpoise, I know the Porpoise is more money, but if I hadn't got the PRD 627 or the 717, I think I would be quite, I would be singing the praises of this gun more, as I said earlier, really. But because I've got those other guns now, I'm thinking to myself, well, this isn't particularly good value, because if you want something that's not that expensive and something that will give you a good finish with clear coat and a good finish for base coats, various base coats, particularly more complex base coats, the split tip guns really do help with that. Then you've got the Dram. 100 euros, got euros on my brain, $100 US at the moment, 102 US dollars, something like that. Performs just as well as this gun in my opinion. The pressures on these, I actually used 1.8 bar on the first coat, which gives you it definitely gives you finer atomization, but it's just too much for the gun. The pattern was separating slightly. So if you've got a pattern that's separating top and bottom slightly, then if you bring that pressure down, that pattern will close. It's just a matter of being able to keep atomization at the lower pressures, which these can do, the split tip guns normally can do. So I used it at 1.8 bar for the first coat, and for the second coat you see here, I used it at 1.66 bar. It makes quite a raspy noise, which may come over on the video, it may not, but it definitely seemed quite a noisy gun. Wasn't particularly lots of overspray, although there wasn't loads of, you know, there was a reasonable amount of overspray. You wouldn't say it was a low overspray gun. Having said that, I had a message the other day from a guy who was using the Dram. if you look in the other videos, I did recommend the Dram because I was quite taken by it at the time, and he was saying he was using his Dram at 1.5 bar, and he thought there was quite a lot of overspray, and I must say I couldn't really find that. So I guess it does depend, you know, on your perception of overspray. Although I'm not in the ideal environment, as you'll see here, I haven't got a proper booth with extraction, etc. There are 2 extraction fans working here, and it does actually move the clear coat in the air. It does move it out quite quick for a few filters that I've got, so it may look less overspray than it actually is. Certainly, if ever I do a video and I've forgotten to turn the fans on, you notice it within the like 4th or 5th pull of the trigger that the clear coat is hanging around for longer. So yeah, I mean, I don't feel the overspray on this was particularly low, and I don't feel it was particularly high either. It's a very good, competent gun. It's just that, as I say, I would take the Dram over this any time. Avalon's got a few new guns out. They've got an A60, I think it's called, and an A30, which is a mini gun. I'm going to make a few inquiries about those, but I know somebody that has made inquiries, and they're quite expensive. And I just wonder whether, and by that I mean like $400 US. I just wonder whether that's pushing the envelope too much, because I'm very happy with the PRD 717, the Porpish gun, and I would be really reluctant to spend $150 US more for something that is the same or less in performance. And it is all about you know, weighing up the amount you're spending as to the reward you're getting as far as the way the thing sprays. I think it is anyway for anybody. But as a finished object, you know, it looks really good. As I say, hopefully I haven't put people off the gun. It's just that for the money I was expecting a little bit more, and people had said to me about this gun for quite a few years now. And I'd never got around to getting one, and eventually I bought one. You see the artwork here? I did do that myself, and there's a few other bits that I've done recently, and what I'll do is I'll get a separate video up of what I do with that as far as the airbrushing and using stencils and that goes, because a few people have asked about it, and I think it warrants a separate video rather than lumping it in with something like this. So here's the finished article. This is 2 days after it's been done, just to allow any initial dieback to take place, so that you're not seeing it literally after it's done, because it would always look better literally just after it's done than in a few days time. And yeah, I mean, it looks really good. This hasn't been touched. This is an off the gun finish, so the way it is here is exactly how it came out. Hasn't been polished, hasn't been sanded, hasn't been anything. There's quite a few nibs in it actually. There's a good 5-6 little nibs in it, which are quite annoying, but you'd be sanded down, and they'll come out quite easy. But I like to show you the stuff as it comes off the gun, because that's half the idea, well, the full idea really of these videos is to pass information on, but more importantly to show you how the guns work. So as I say, if you're thinking about buying one of these, nothing to stop you buying one. Just think about the Dram. It's a little bit faster. I think it's actually better made, it's cheaper, and it will do just exactly what this will do. The only way this may actually trump the Dram would be on some of the base coats, some of the more complex base coats. This one may well take it over the Dram, and that's just because of the 4 split tip. It does actually atomize better, and that's always good if you've got more complex colors, because it just gives you a more even, fine distribution of the paint particles, which helps you get a better finish in that. I mean, you know, less chance of striping or mottling and stuff like that. Anyway guys, as always, thank you for watching the videos, and you keep watching them and I'll keep doing them. If you're new to the channel, fancy giving us a subscription, then give us a thumbs up and maybe subscribe.